I'm Adam Todd, and welcome to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. I've always believed that the best way to engage students in a 21st century classroom is to immerse them with the transformative tools that will empower each and every one of them to excel in the world that awaits. My goal is to ignite the spark that propels you and your students in an advanced tomorrow, and your journey into that future starts right now. Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Introducing the Zone Learn wired headset from Logitech, the headset that's designed for learning and built for schools. Here are a few reasons why Zone Learn is the best headset option for today's students and schools. It's optimized to fit smaller heads with features like soft ear pads, a cushion headband, even weight distribution and micro-articulating ear cups that move in all directions. The audio driver is engineered for speech intelligibility, so spoken lessons come through crystal clear. And the movable boom mic is designed for better vocal clarity. It's durably designed to withstand frequent cleaning and constant wear and tear. My favorite aspect of the Zone Learn headset is that it's fully customizable and sustainable for both the environment and school budgets. The swappable ear pads come in over-ear and on-ear options. The interchangeable cables come in USB-A, USB-C, and audio jack options. This means that the ear pads and cables can be swapped out without replacing the entire headset. Plus, the Zone Learn is backed by a 3-year warranty, making it a smart, long-term investment for schools. Get your students into the learning zone with an elevated headset experience. Learn more at logitech.com/zonelearn.
For over 20 years, Higher Ground has designed functional technology protection, helping students to work or learn anytime, anywhere. I'm Mark, president of Higher Ground, and I want to share with you how you can get a free sample of any of our rugged shells, sleeves, or clear backpacks. Visit hggear.com/sample and use your school's email and address. One thing, don't tell Alex because he'll be stuck with all the paperwork. Request yours and see for yourself how Higher Ground can help save your students and school downtime and money. Just remember, don't tell Alex.
Mark, what are all these sample requests filling my inbox?
Welcome to Classroom Dynamics, the podcast where we get into the exciting world of technology and education. Hi everybody, I'm your host Adam Todd, and today we're diving deep literally into both the physical world and digital world of marine biology and shark conservation. Our guest today is Jillian Morris, a true force in ocean conservation. She's the founder and president of Sharks4Kids, an organization she launched back in 2013 with the goal of inspiring the next generation to protect sharks through education. But that's just scratching the surface of what Jillian's accomplished. She's also a marine biologist, a passionate shark conservationalist, a photographer, and an author. Jillian's work spans the globe from diving with sharks to educating students in classrooms, all the while using her incredible storytelling skills to change how we think about these misunderstood creatures. Today on the show, we're going to talk about how her work with Sharks4Kids is helping teachers bring marine conservation directly into the classroom virtually, and what we can do to inspire curiosity and action in our students. So grab your snorkels and fins and get ready, because this episode is sure to make waves. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Teachers, are you looking for resources that spark creativity and inspire learning? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From comprehensive lesson plans and interactive lab books to engaging informational test prep passages, Highly Motivated has everything you need to keep your students motivated and excited to learn. Whether it's a quick activity or a full unit, these resources are designed to save you time and help students succeed. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. Search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today. She's a marine biologist, shark conservationist, photographer, and oh, by the way, she's also an author, and she's using her talents and expertise to educate people around the globe and also change perceptions about sharks. It's my pleasure to welcome Jillian Morris from Sharks4Kids to Classroom Dynamics. Awesome to see you.
I am so excited to be here. It's been a while since we've connected. So yeah, really excited to chat with you all things shark.
I had Jillian on with my fourth grade kids back in 2013 when Skype in the Classroom was Skype in the Classroom, and it was a brand new technology and way to actually bring the outside in. So we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So that's how I know Jillian. And so it's been a while since we've seen each other and spoken like this, but this is going to be a lot of fun. I think teachers are going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to reconnect on a different platform and talk about the technology and sharks and all that.
It's going to be really fun. Before we get started, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and also about Sharks4Kids and what that's all about.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Maine. I grew up in a really small town, but luckily had parents that loved the ocean and were really outdoorsy. So we went camping a lot and we were kayaking, and I snorkeled with my first shark when I was 8 years old. My dad had to go to Florida for work every year. So we went, and we didn't have a ton of money for all the parks and all that, but we went paddling and we went snorkeling and things. And so a lot of outdoorsy stuff. And I got to see a nurse shark. And at that age, I was just obsessed with animals in the ocean, just couldn't get enough. So it was a nurse shark. So went to the library, got books, and learned as much as I could about that and other animals. And that really just ignited something in me. I wanted to study more and learn more. And I'd always told my parents, I think from age 5, that I wanted to be a marine biologist. And I think they probably thought it was a phase and it would change a lot, but it didn't. And so that's what I pursued at university. And then after I graduated, I started exploring, well, now that I have this degree and all this information, what do I do? And so I started exploring kind of diving, research projects. Everything was kind of focused around sharks as much as it could be. And so building skill sets and experiences, I got to travel all over the world and work on different projects. And then I took that media background, that science background, because I was taking photos and videos on my trip and started doing some underwater photo and video, and tried to figure out how I could combine that. What could I do with that to teach other people how incredible the ocean is and why they should dive in, literally and figuratively. And I had a lot of friends that were teachers, and my mom's a retired teacher, and they'd say, hey, can you come in the classroom and talk about sharks? Absolutely. And then they'd always say, and we're talking 15, 16 years ago, maybe more. And they would say, hey, do you have a worksheet, something to go with it? And I'd be like, oh, I don't. Sorry. I've got these cool photos and videos. Look at me tagging a shark in Australia, but I don't have anything else. And so I thought about that. Like, wouldn't that be interesting if there was a space for those kind of things and all this information? And I sat on it for probably 4 years, talked about it. And then finally, just my husband said one day, well, why don't you just start it, do it? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to. And I said, well, you're doing it with me, because he's a professional videographer, and recruited a couple other people. My best friend had just finished his PhD on tiger sharks, and got together and said, hey, what about this thing? I want to call it Sharks4Kids. And I want to have a website with resources and create opportunities for students. And that was 2012. And here we are. But it was really just a place to bring all that together, because I felt every time I went into a classroom, kids gave me hope. They got me excited. And I was seeing a lot of things, that pollution, fins, fishing, all these things that were really overwhelming, but kids always gave me hope. And so how could we empower and inspire them? And that's really what Sharks4Kids was born out of.
You have the teaching in your DNA from your mom. So it was just a natural progression to go that way, right?
I think so. She always said, you should teach. And I was like, no, never. No desire. And then joke's on me. It's what I'm doing.
And now here you are teaching, and not only just teaching, but teaching on this worldwide stage. You're no longer just going into a classroom. This is now broadened to the degree of around the world now.
Yeah, we started doing programs, or I did, with Skype before Sharks4Kids actually launched. So before our website even launched, because it was just, we got asked to be a global partner, or I did. And it was this incredible platform that you could speak to kids anywhere in the world and you didn't have to get on a plane. There was no cost to it. And now kids that might not otherwise have access to someone or that knowledge or that experience, now they do, and it's free. And it was just, I think it was probably one of the biggest game changers for Sharks4Kids, but also education and how we approach it. I can't speak to that as a classroom teacher, but having feedback from classroom teachers and my mom and friends, it was really a remarkable tool that I think changed how everyone can approach education using technology.
I agree. You know, if you're doing a nonfiction unit on sharks or the ocean or ocean life, or even any kind of conservationist type of topic, you could really, now you're not just looking at it on a piece of paper. You're not just maybe opening up a textbook. Now you could actually bring that video in. Now you can bring that expert in and actually have that one-on-one conversation with the person who's actually in it and doing it, which is what you bring to the table every single time that you do a presentation on Zoom now, or you go into a classroom, or you do it in the real world for people. There is a big bonus to that in terms of learning and understanding and grasping ideas. And like in your case with your mom and your husband pushing you to do it, it does inspire kids to do things and to almost take charge and help out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for students, I always say it brings the learning to life, right? It's no longer a flat image in a book, and books are amazing. Don't get me wrong, but we can take it to the next level, and we can really bring that that dynamic, and it's engaging and it's interesting. And I think you have to meet kids where they're at. And if kids are constantly using technology, we're not going to fight it. It's not stopping. So how do we harness it for good and use it and shape it and get the most out of it so that they're actually building skills and becoming inspired, learning about careers, learning about the world around them? Because with their fingertips and just a screen, they're connecting to people all over, resources. It's really, really powerful. Obviously, there's negative sides to it. Of course, you can't. But if you focus on what can be really positive and what's possible, from my perspective, it's changed what we're able to do, how we're able to teach, and the amount of kids that we can reach.
Especially, again, no longer teaching or reaching a classroom full of 25 or 30 kids. You're reaching potentially millions around the world.
Even like when we did some of our webinars when COVID hit and we kind of pivoted to having these webinars, we were having 700 and 800 people on each webinar and live. And then that's not even including who was watching it after on YouTube. And so, yeah, it really became, I think, during that time, an additional tool for parents who became educators, maybe more than they had planned on, and then educators as well. I think really if they hadn't turned to that technology yet, they had to, right? They had to learn it. So now let's embrace it and what we can really do with it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Let's pivot for a second away from the technology, although I love this conversation. I want to talk about sharks because you're also a big proponent of conservation. And so as a marine biologist and conservationist, what's the biggest misconception people have about sharks, and how do you address that in what you do every day?
So the biggest misconception is certainly that sharks are swimming around the oceans eating people all the time, because shark bites do happen. I will never say that they don't. I'm very honest about that with students. Shark bites happen. They are very, very rare. And on average, about 5 people die from shark bites in the world each year. All right. Between 5 and 10, right? So it's very, very, very rare. But when a bite happens, it's on every major news, the TV, the internet, it's everywhere. So it's almost like it's 100 bites because it's so magnified, and there may be different versions of it. And so I think that because it plays into our natural fear of big animals, the open ocean, and that really fuels it. And then obviously media, in certain cases, they want a headline that gets attention and people read that. So I think that's the biggest misconception. And so when you're trying to kind of steer away from that with kids, I go in with getting them excited. Here are the facts. Here are some really amazing things about these animals. Yes, they're predators. Yes, they have teeth. absolutely deserve our respect every moment we're in the water with them. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve to be protected, like a koala or a dolphin or something that people find a little bit more cuddly or cute or whatever, whatever elicits kind of that emotion or empathy, is getting kids interested and excited with facts. Right? There are sharks that glow in the dark. That's amazing. Right? So now you're changing from teeth and blood and biting, what they've heard and seen, or their parents have talked about, or they've seen it in a book. I mean, I've been in libraries and a lot of the books have a big great white with its mouth open. Even though it might be a book that's positive for sharks, it's still using that kind of negative image to get attention. And so I think it's really just getting kids excited and interested by the actual facts of the cool things these animals do and why they're important for the oceans, why they're important for us. And so you don't have to be super heavy-handed against the negative. You just really have to focus on the facts, the science, the interesting, the weird, the wonderful. And when they start to care and get excited, then they're going to carry that with them. So when they hear the misinformation, they have that toolbox to go, right, people say a lot of things. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I'm going to navigate that with the facts that I have. And we hope they carry that, to adulthood with them. But it's really about facts replacing fear and getting them excited about these animals.
So my family and I were on vacation in the Bahamas, where you do a lot of your work as well. A couple of years ago, we were on a cruise and we were on their private island and a lemon shark went by. Now, not a tremendously big one. It was really cool because have I seen in an aquarium? Sure. Have I seen in video? Sure. Have I seen in books? Yes. But when you're on the shoreline and a lemon shark that's in the wild goes by you, that's pretty cool. And so that sparked, pulling out the phone and looking up lemon sharks, and finding out a little bit about them. And just that kind of experience is so phenomenally outrageous because I'm in New York City. I don't see lemon sharks every single day. This was kind of cool. That I think it's that kind of interest and that kind of engagement that you bring into the classroom. It's almost as if they are there. It's almost as if they do experience it firsthand like that. And boom, you got them.
Yeah. And then you have kids that maybe they have been to an aquarium, or maybe they're going to get a chance to, or kids that are coastal and we touch a range of experience levels with the students we speak to. Is there are some that have been to the beach, they've been out, or their parents, they've had that opportunity. Some have been to aquariums. Some have never seen the ocean and don't live anywhere near and may never see the ocean. Right. And so you have to give them, and I feel honestly that students who don't live anywhere near the ocean are probably the most important students for us to reach, because the ocean it affects all of us, no matter where we live, no matter what we do. And the time is now to take care of it. And that's all of us. That is every single person. And so if we can use sharks to get kids excited about the ocean, they deserve to know that and to have that. And so to me, connecting with those students and giving them the opportunities and resources is one of the most important things, because we need them to care. We need them to be on board with us. And so I always get really excited when I get to speak to groups that are in landlocked places, especially students that might never have access to that. But how do we bring them that experience so they can really appreciate how incredible the ocean is?
Let's actually talk about that. So when it was first widely used, Skype was able to, and this is back in 2013, transform the way the world learned. It was able to bring that outside in. It enabled educators like me to access previously unreachable experts in their field like you, and really tap into subjects that were traditionally held captive within traditional quote unquote classroom walls. That ultimately ends up broadening the walls of the classroom everywhere in the world, and it expands a student's perspective. And just what you're saying, that landlocked group that never really sees the ocean, to see how vast it is and really how important it can and should be to everybody. You've worked with students and educators around the world, not just because of your passion, but also the technology allowed for that. So what's been the most rewarding part of introducing shark conservation and ocean protection and all of that into classrooms as a result of all that technology?
I mean, in an ideal world, every student would get to go in the ocean. If I had some way to get every kid to see a shark and do that, that is the biggest thing for changing perceptions. It's also just can be a life-changing experience. And so I have seen kids, people, adults as well, go from being terrified, putting them in a mask, getting them in the water, and seeing them change and having that moment where they now have a connection. So technology, if we can't get every student to those places, right? We can't. It's, it's impossible or for one person, right? There's many people around the world working on this. But if we can bring that to them. So I think when I work with a classroom, there was one I worked with in Kenya, and I did a talk, and the kids hadn't been to the ocean, right? It's a small single room classroom, multiple ages. They're on an iPad. The connection's not great, but the smiles, the questions, and then they wrote a song and sent me a video of the kids singing a shark song. And I cried. I was just like, this is so special. And just to be able to have that connection, and sharks brought that connection, but technology allowed for it too. And so I think those to me are some of the most special moments, is when I see the joy of learning, the joy of seeing things that they maybe didn't even know were possible, including maybe young girls that see a woman doing something that they thought was not a job for women. It's getting better now, but I grew up being told that's not a job for girls. Why are you doing that? You got to find something else. That's not for you. Luckily, I'm the type of person that I'm pretty stubborn. So I went, well, I'm going to do it anyway, and had a lot of support. But so those moments where it is about sharks and it's about conservation, but when you see joy in kids, they're laughing, they're excited, they're jumping up because they're just so moved by a video that's just mind blowing. And you get to give that to them. That's really special. I mean, I feel so blessed that I get to do that all the time. I feel very, very lucky that I found a space where this is my passion. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And to bring joy to students and share that is, to me, the biggest reward.
This is your happiness project.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Your happiness project. So with the technology, and the technology is allowing you to have that passion project, to do the things and reach the kids that you want to reach, and to really inspire. How do you use all of that technology? Photography is one. You have social media. What are some of the digital tools that you use to raise awareness and also inspire action for shark education and conservation everywhere?
I think one of our biggest ones is having photos and videos. Like, my husband films professionally, so I have access to a lot of videos. I think one of the biggest things is for kids to see myself or our team with sharks. Whether we're catching and tagging them, we're swimming with them, to see us working with these animals, to see us close, to break, one, the stereotypes of who can do this, who does this, but two, also to realize that we're near them and they're not eating us. I mean,
right.
I get that question all the time. How come that shark's not trying to eat you? Because I'm not acting like food. I don't look like food, and they're far more intelligent than people give them credit for. And so I think when you have those photos and those videos, it changes the presentation. It changes the experience. It's more immersive. It's
not as scary for them either.
Yeah, right. No, they're going, wait, that's you? You can do that? Yeah, I do it all the time. You can do it too, right? Anyone can learn how to dive. Once you hit a certain age, you don't have to live near the ocean. And so encouraging kids to pursue these things and find ways to get there, and find options and opportunities, because now I'm saying this is for you. This is about sharks. Yes, this is about ocean conservation, but it's also about creating global citizens and helping these kids understand what's possible, what they can be part of. And when you have those photos and videos, it takes it to the next level. It really helps them connect. We also use virtual reality. Virtual reality, we created a 3-minute shark dive that features 6 species. We've shown it to over 10,000 people, students and adults. And my favorite thing is to watch kids versus adults. Adults, we do this, and then they might turn maybe one way or that way. Kids are up, they're all over, right? They get it, and it's just amazing. Like, you don't have to tell them. They just start moving all around and see it. And to see them reaching out to touch things, and seeing people that are actually start afraid to go in the VR because it's close. The animals are right there, and then come out and go, oh man, I want to go diving. I want to learn to dive. I want to snorkel. I want to see this in real life. And so that is also to have a 3-minute interaction with something, and now you're ready to go pursue the next step. Man, that's powerful.
That's the spark that every teacher hopes for, right? Every single teacher hopes at some point that spark happens. And once you have that spark, you got them, the engagement was done properly, and then they can now run with it and take it to a whole new level.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think for us is we're always working on ways to get the VR more accessible, more places, because obviously the goggles are the video's done, and we have more videos we're working working on, but it's getting more goggles. It's getting more goggles in classrooms, more viewing, access for viewing for students, because there's curriculum with it. There's other videos with it. It's just a really, really, again, we're bringing sharks in the ocean to the classroom, and we're seeing how powerful it is. And so that's one of the biggest things that we're working on, is getting that into on more students being able to view that.
So you kind of just touched upon this, but for teachers who are looking to integrate more environmental education, especially around marine life, what advice would you give them to get students engaged, especially with technology use? But before you do that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Jillian Morris of Sharks4Kids about how you can integrate more environmental education into your classrooms for fun and engaging lessons. Be right back. Every classroom has the potential to be extraordinary, and the Logitech Reach Adjustable Content Camera is your partner in making that happen. With its flexible arm and clear video, you can showcase everything from detailed drawings to live experiments, ensuring every student is engaged and involved. Whether you're teaching in person or online, Logitech Reach helps you connect with your students in a whole new way. Ready to take your lessons further? Visit logitech.com/reach and elevate your classroom to a whole new level. Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics, where today we're talking with Jillian Morris of Sharks4Kids. And before the break, I asked if you could share some engaging ways that teachers can incorporate more environmental education into their classrooms, even with the help of technology. So what can you suggest for teachers? How could they do that?
Well, I think the world is telling stories, visual stories now. Everybody, and you look at social media, everything is a visual story. We're consuming it all the time, rapidly. And so instead of shying away from that, look at resources. I mean, YouTube now, there's so many incredible videos, and everyone jokes about, well, I can learn how to do anything on YouTube, the videos, right? Well, there's incredible video learning opportunities where you are connecting. There's a lot of live and interactive chats. Reach out. I mean, if anyone wants a live shark chat, we do them year round on multiple platforms with our team. So connect with scientists, connect with an architect. Like it doesn't have to be scientists, but reach out, because I think you'd be surprised how many people actually are really excited to talk to kids and share their passion, their knowledge. And the answer is always no until you ask. So I think don't be afraid to check out those resources. I think there's more and more of it, and bring that in, bring those experts or that passion, that experience, that knowledge to your students. The other thing too is when we actually run educator workshops. So getting teachers in the field, and then we do whole sessions like talking about how do you bring that back? Now you've come out shark tagging with us, you've done this cool thing. How do you take that back to your kids? And it's visual media. It's interactive. We have some cool video stuff that they can do with their kids that are data driven too. So they can do an activity where the kids are analyzing real data. And so
that's so cool.
It's
because that's real world now, right? Now you're bringing also real world situations in. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yep. And so then how do they take that into their classroom? And my mom inspired a lot of that, because she got a scholarship to go on a shark tagging thing that I was actually part of, and they were running scholarships for teachers. And then watching her take that back to her classroom and what she did with it and how she engaged her students. And this was years ago. And so, it was just really kind of amazing to see that. And I always kind of kept thinking about that of, okay, so I just think anything that you can do to increase the experience level on different platforms and different ways, do that for your students. It's opening doors. And the walls of the classroom are getting much, much bigger. Skype really, we talked about that, open the door for that. But now there's so many other, platforms and technology that are following with that to be able to do that. So,
boy, did you hit the nail on the head on that one. I couldn't have said it better myself. Teachers need, and I agree with you, they need to tap into that expertise that's out there. There is a entire world around us that we don't usually tap into because, like you said, we're afraid we're going to hear no, or we can't do that. Sorry. But a lot of people, like you said, are excited to talk to the kids, to get into the classroom, whether it's in person or virtually, and to tap into that can be such a profound experience for kids. And who knows, one of those kids who wants to help save the oceans and tag sharks like you're doing and teach people all about that, 30 minutes has now inspired them to do so. So you hit the nail on the head. We have had such a great conversation. Pretty cool to find out more about sharks and that it's okay to get in the water with them. Well, I don't know about that, but most of the time.
Right. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't suggest, like, if you've never been in the ocean, just try to jump in with a great white for the first time, but there's lots of ways to do it and have safe interactions.
Right.
So I definitely encourage it, but I always tell people, do your homework, do your research, and find opportunities that are safe for you, safe for the animals, and kind of support conservation and education, because they exist all over the place.
Right.
So don't shy away from that if you have the opportunity to do it.
Listen, so we have a few minutes left. I like to play a game called Input Output. This is where I'm just going to ask you a question and just give me the first thing that comes to your mind. There's no wrong answers. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
What's one app on your phone that you just can't live without?
CapCut. I love editing right on my phone. And yeah, it's super easy.
Editing on the go.
Editing on the go. And I was never someone who wanted to do that on my phone, but I have a toddler and a lot of things going on. And yep, sometimes you just got to multitask. And
another example of the technology assisting and being there that maybe wasn't there in the past that you're using all the time now, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Besides studying and educating people about sharks, what's your favorite part about marine biology?
You never know what you're going to see when you go in the ocean. It really is a gift every single time. And I still have moments in my head where it's brought tears to my eyes, being in the water and seeing these animals and just the unexpected, the beauty of it. That is so special, and it will never, ever get old. And I really cherish all of those moments to be there and to see that and experience that world.
We talked about sharks not being and not having that fear factor, that you shouldn't have that fear factor. Yes, to respect them, and they are predators. But what's your scariest encounter with a shark that you've had?
I would say, and I guess people don't have to not be afraid of them. You can still care for an animal. And I think there's a fine line between fear and fascination. People are still, clearly, because there's all these kind of crazy shark movies and people still go watch them, right? Because we kind of like to be monsters, and we're heading into holiday time and people want to go to haunted houses.
The heavy violin and bass going, and
and so I think you can still be afraid of them or afraid of the unknown and still care. And still, I know it's weird and might be kind of hard to grasp it, but I don't need everyone to love sharks, but I need people to have respect and care for them. Loving them is great, but it's just, and I think for me, I was on a dive and the visibility went really quickly, which means the water got churned up and there was a lot of sand and sediment. And we had quite a few, I think we had 7 tiger sharks. Sorry, my dog is obviously emotional about this moment as well. She's been out. My dog has seen sharks, plenty of sharks. So
she just wants to protect you. That's all.
I know she is. She's an island baby, and she's seen her fair share of sharks. And we had 7 tiger sharks. We couldn't see. They were kind of coming in and out. And so I think for me, it wasn't that I was afraid. It was that this is a moment where something could go wrong. Not because they're trying to get to me, but because the viz is low, because they're amped up. It was a dive where there was bait in the water to get them to come in. And it felt like, you just get that, like, I should get out of this situation because
uncomfortable was there, huh?
Yeah, it could go wrong very, very quickly. And so I don't think it wasn't a panicked fear, terrified, I've got to get it. It was I need to get out now because something bad could really happen. And especially when you're on scuba, you're underwater, you're already, on life support system, really. I mean, that's what scuba is. And then you're mixing in big animals and all of that. And I think recognizing those situations is a part of being able to have these safe experiences with these animals. So I think that one always sticks out. And I'm glad that I got out. I don't know what would have happened, maybe nothing. But for me, it was the best choice for us to get out of the water, let things settle, dive another time.
Safety first.
Exactly.
Right. If you can go back in time and give your 10-year-old self a piece of technology from today, what would it be and why?
Oh, there's so much. I would say VR. I would have loved that. I think that would have been amazing. I just remember my parents getting like the VHS recorder and just being so amazed by cameras. So maybe not, it would either be the VR or the 360 camera, and how small they are now. Like I have one sitting right here. They're so small, and the 360 camera is amazing. So I think because the combination of what you can do with both of those, right. I would have just lost my mind as a 10-year-old.
Finally, if you could challenge teachers to make one small change in their classrooms, what would it be?
Make sure your classroom and your school is really encouraging students to use reusables. It's a very simple thing, and the world can seem overwhelming with pollution and plastic and climate change and animals, endangered species, but there are very simple acts that we can do as individuals that make a difference. And so when I go to schools and I see kids kids bringing, or the, plastics in the classroom or plastic cups. And I'm just like, oh man, and I know stuff's maybe, expensive or not, but encouraging kids and making sure every kid has a water bottle or every kid has reusable silverware has got to be cheaper than continuously buying that stuff. So if your school doesn't do that, or start with your classroom, start with your school, because that makes the planet better, makes the oceans, makes all of that. It's something that is a simple action that really, really can make an impact.
Right. Well, listen, this has been so informative, such an engaging conversation. I loved every second of this. Thank you so much for the time today and educating us on animals that, don't have the best reputation sometimes, but they're fascinating all the while anyway. Before we go, tell everyone where they can go to find out more about you and, of course, Sharks4Kids.
Yeah, make sure you check out our website. It's sharks4kids.com. We have all of our social media links on there. We are very active posting what we're up to, cool shark science, cool shark videos, and facts and fun things that we're doing. So you can also contact us, explore all of our free resources on the website, and book a lesson, either in person or virtual. So start at the website and you can find all of our information to get in touch with us and follow along.
I'm booking mine right now. So we're going to have to work on a day for you to join me in my class. We definitely have to do that. and teachers definitely go and check out the resources there. They're phenomenal. The social media posts are phenomenal. You really do a great job in enhancing and bringing that world to our world, on the other side of the phone. So I applaud you for that. For those of you who have been listening, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure that you share what you've learned or any takeaways or reflections that you've had, and tag us on X at Class Dynamics or Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. We always look forward to hearing your thoughts on our episodes and sharing the different ways in which you're using what you've learned. You can also help support Classroom Dynamics with as little as $3 a month at classroomdynamicspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Once again, I'd like to thank Jillian Morris of Sharks4Kids for joining us today on Classroom Dynamics. This has been phenomenal. Every second of it. Loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I obviously love talking about sharks as much as possible, but yeah, really wonderful to reconnect with you. And thanks for everybody tuning in.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Classroom Dynamics, where knowledge and inspiration meets innovation. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and found it both insightful and uplifting. As always, my goal is to provide you with practical strategies, engaging stories, and powerful insights that can fuel your motivation as an educator. I believe that when knowledge and inspiration do come together, incredible things can happen in your classroom. And for all of you who may think that it's too late to strengthen your craft, I challenge you to make it your mission to do so. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and it's never too late to infuse new life into your work. So why not make today that day to do so? I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. You can follow Classroom Dynamics on X at Class Dynamics and on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. If you haven't already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement into your everyday routines. Until then, keep igniting the spark in your classroom and never stop believing in the incredible impact that you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think. Did you miss our episode with Sophie Young from Kami? Well, if so, join us as Sophie breaks down how Kami can streamline your teaching, boost student engagement, and create more interactive learning environments. From annotating PDFs and providing real-time feedback to seamlessly integrating with platforms like Google Classroom, Sophie shares practical tips and strategies for maximizing Kami's potential in your classroom.
It is. It's really amazing to see when a student finally goes from needing and feeling like they can't do anything on their own, that they do need that crutch, but when you accommodate them appropriately, they are independent learners. They can do this on their own.